So after the last video where we found a leak,
this compressor's been sitting in my...
it was at that fitting right there. And actually, what do you see on that? This is, it was loose, but you also see the damage on the, see this, Larry? If you see that right there, you see that, see that seal on there, how damaged that looks?
Oh, the seal, the
seal is damaged.
The seal's damaged.
And so that was another leak. It wasn't just that the whole fitting was loose.
Right, well, it definitely was.
It was definitely loose. It was coming out of the sides.
It was coming out of the top because I could put my finger on it.
Right,
I could feel it coming out of the top.
Right, and the top was the fitting, and it was leaking out of the threads because it wasn't tight inside.
For two Schrader valves.
And your welds are holding up, so we got our pressure in there with nitrogen, and we used some big blue. So we're
110.
Yep. And so that's good there. And this was the custom system with the Mercedes condenser from a late model on an old Dodge.
A GM condenser.
A GM evaporator. A GM evaporator out of an old van, right?
Yep.
And a York Chrysler original compressor there, and all the hoses are custom, all the fittings are custom. Had to step up and step down a few hose sizes to make them work. And
this is the one we ordered for that big motorhome that didn't fit.
Oh, so this was originally for a motorhome.
That was for the motorhome.
Completely different vehicle. And it didn't fit, so he had that.
Remember though?
I remember that. I remember. Yeah, it had
wrong fittings.
Wrong fittings. Okay.
This had the.
So
it had number 10 fittings on there.
He just got a switch, but the switch he got is a low pressure switch, and he thought it could go onto here, but this is high pressure. But it was a low pressure, so the low pressure switch cannot go here for cycling. But to cycle this system, since this is a really old system and it works off of that thermostat that has that little metal pigtail.
So we
remember
don't
what I
do I really
you don't need you don't use a cycling switch on this system because it uses an expansion valve.
Oh, there you go.
You use a cycling switch for the old accumulators with the orifice tubes.
Oh, so this has got an expansion valve.
Exactly.
So you don't need a.
And you don't have an electric fan on here, so you don't need
there's no room.
Right. So
fuck, I tried to get it in there, but there's no room.
So the best case scenario, what you would do, you would use a trinary switch on here, or binary, high pressure, low pressure. And you could, if you wanted to, for safety.
No, I would just. This is just a.
Yeah.
This is just for you know how air conditioning is most of the time.
Yeah.
When it's too hot out, when you need your air conditioning, you can't run it because it'll overheat your car.
Yeah, on something like this, if you still have the old radiator, as long as the core is clean.
This is really this thing actually runs real cool.
Okay.
So it might be one.
So what the trinary switch would be for this is when it senses the refrigerant is low, when you go to start it up, it won't allow the compressor to come on.
Right.
It'll let it come on low.
The main thing is
and
that it has its protection.
And with the trinary switch, it cuts out at say 400 psi. At high pressure, it'll cut it out, so you don't slip
I need a trinary switch.
Trinary switch.
Yeah, because that's the one that has 4 wires. It also turns the fan on.
Exactly.
Like the one on the Mustang that we couldn't figure out where the 4 wires, the 2 blue wires that we couldn't figure out what they're for.
And you would use the switch just for safety in 2 directions. Too low, don't turn on. Too high,
the trinary switch,
don't turn it off.
You have to use that to run through a relay, or
to go through the normal, because you have a relay that's turning that clutch on and off.
Okay. Well, so, no, not yet. It's just hot wired right now.
Okay. Well, when you have it hooked up correctly, going through the
the old switch,
old switch on the old system from the van, the old van.
Big wire for it.
Okay. So you would use you would stick a little relay in here to actually take your load instead of running it in the vehicle through a switch or anything like that.
It's all done. It's all wired up. It's all wired straight. See, I got 40 amp fuses over
40 amp fuses. See? Okay, more is better.
Well, no, see, 30 amp. See, so I got. See, those are Honda fuses.
Yeah, Honda fuses.
Yeah, see, one goes to the blower motor and one goes to the compressor.
All right.
One's for the compressor and one's for the blower motor. See, and it's all wired with good fat wire.
So if you wanted to, you could go to one of those vintage air systems that you installed.
This is vintage air.
Yeah, but this is vintage. Yeah. What you would do is, thanks for the tea. It's tea time, chaps, across the pond there. And
everything's tea time over there.
And so yeah, if you wanted that trinary switch, you would put it in line so it could cut your compressor in and out for too high pressure or too low pressure. All right, so we'll switch on to the next thing and we'll throw this puppy under vacuum. All right, his old school, of course, everything was...
Don't show those. Those are illegal.
He had really raunchy. I'm changing all his seals to new seals because the seals were, let's say, original from 1973.
You rebuilt my gauges that I'm never going to use.
Well, you use it for something someday. All right.
No, that's why I call you.
We'll kick this out right here and see what else happens.